Chapter 2: The Kingdom's Secret. The coastal kingdoms, renowned for their breathtaking beauty, appeared serene and idyllic as the golden light of dusk bathed the landscape in a warm, ethereal glow. The sprawling palaces stood majestic against the backdrop of a tranquil sea, their intricate architecture shimmering in the fading sunlight. Glittering harbors, dotted with lavishly adorned ships, reflected the hues of the setting sun, creating a picture of perfect harmony and prosperity. The scene seemed to embody the pinnacle of elegance and calm, an image of opulence that masked the undercurrents of discontent simmering beneath the surface. Yet beneath this facade of tranquility lay a brewing storm, a tempest of political intrigue that threatened to shatter the illusion of peace. The glittering serenity of the coastal kingdoms belied the undercurrents of treachery and ambition that surged just out of sight. Secret alliances were formed in shadowed rooms, and whispered conspiracies wove through the corridors of power like invisible threads, binding together a web of deceit that could unravel the fragile equilibrium of the region. The air crackled with the tension of unsaid words and hidden agendas, each faction maneuvering for dominance in a dangerous game of political chess. In the grandiose palace of Eldoria, the tension was palpable, thickening the very air within its opulent walls. The palace, with its towering spires and resplendent halls, seemed to breathe with the weight of its own grandeur. Ornate chandeliers cast shifting shadows across marble floors, and the rich scent of blooming flowers from the palace gardens mingled with the scent of intrigue. The corridors, lined with intricate tapestries and gilded sconces, seemed to whisper secrets of plots and betrayals, their hushed murmurs an eerie counterpoint to the external splendor. The king's private chambers were a stark contrast to the opulent festivities of the palace. Here, amidst the scattered maps and documents, King Alastair wrestled with the weight of governance. His face, etched with the strains of leadership, was illuminated by the flickering light of a solitary candle. As he pored over reports of unrest and discontent, his brow furrowed in deep concern. The serenity of the palace's exterior was a cruel veneer, hiding the growing storm of dissent and conspiracy that threatened to breach the palace's sanctum and challenge his rule. Outside the palace, the shimmering facade of the coastal kingdoms seemed to stand as a final, fragile barrier against the chaos brewing within. The calm of the harbors and the grandeur of the palaces were mere distractions from the darker currents at play. As nightfall descended, the calm was deceptive, a prelude to the upheaval that was fast approaching. The future of Eldoria and its neighboring realms hung precariously in the balance, with the storm of political intrigue ready to break, promising to reshape the destinies of all who dwelled within its bounds. In the heart of Eldoria's grand palace, a shadowy figure moved with measured precision, each step deliberate and silent. Cloaked in dark velvet that seemed to absorb the scant light filtering through the narrow, ornate windows, the figure navigated the dimly lit corridors with an almost ghostly grace. The heavy fabric of the cloak shifted like a whisper against the cold, stone walls, blending seamlessly into the shadows. The palace, with its majestic architecture and historical grandeur, appeared more somber and foreboding under the cloak of night, as if it too sensed the brewing tension. The figure halted outside the heavy wooden doors of the royal chambers, their intricate carvings barely discernible in the low light. The doors were a formidable barrier, designed to protect the sanctity of the king's private quarters. The tension was almost palpable as the figure paused, listening intently to the muffled sounds from within. The weight of the cloak seemed to press down with the gravity of the moment, each breath a careful calculation as the figure prepared to breach the inner sanctum of power. Inside, the royal chamber was a realm of stark contrast to the darkened halls. The room was a testament to opulence, with opulent tapestries draped gracefully over the walls, their rich colors and elaborate designs adding to the room's regal atmosphere. Crystal chandeliers, their prisms catching the flickering candlelight, cast a warm, golden glow that danced across the polished marble floors. The light created a shimmering halo around the furniture, highlighting the luxuriousness that defined the king's personal space. At the center of this splendor, King Alastair sat at his imposing mahogany desk, a solitary figure amidst the sea of grandeur. His desk was cluttered with maps and documents, each sheet detailing the myriad affairs of the kingdom. The king's face, etched with lines of fatigue and worry, reflected the immense weight of his responsibilities. His brows were drawn in a deep frown as he pored over reports of unrest and dissent, his grim expression betraying the strain of dealing with threats both within and beyond his realm. The atmosphere in the chamber was heavy with the gravity of the king's concerns. As King Alastair read through the reports, the warm glow of the chandeliers seemed to do little to dispel the encroaching darkness of his thoughts. Each page was a reminder of the instability threatening his reign, and the king's focus was unwavering, his resolve hardened by the knowledge of the challenges ahead. The contrast between the room's opulence and the king's troubled demeanor underscored the fragility of the peace he sought to maintain, making the impending danger even more palpable. Unknown to King Alastair, his most trusted adviser, Lord Gavrick, had been maneuvering with a treacherous purpose hidden beneath a veneer of loyalty. In the dimly lit chamber next door, the atmosphere was thick with secrecy and betrayal. The room was sparsely furnished, its shadows deepened by the flickering light of a single candle, casting eerie shapes on the walls. Lord Gavrick, his face partially obscured by the gloom, moved with a measured calm that belied the gravity of his intentions. His once reassuring presence, now a facade, was carefully dismantled in the privacy of this clandestine meeting. Across from Gavrick, a masked conspirator loomed like a spectre in the darkness, their features hidden behind an intricate mask of black and silver. The conspirator's voice was cold and precise, a stark contrast to the ambient silence of the chamber. As Gavrick spoke in hushed tones, their conversation was a low murmur that cut through the stillness, their words laden with malice and ambition. The flickering candlelight barely illuminated their faces, but the intensity of their exchange was palpable, each word steeped in treachery and unspoken plans. Gavrick's demeanor, once marked by an unshakable loyalty to the king, was now revealed as a carefully crafted illusion. His eyes, previously known for their calm and measured gaze, were now sharp with a ruthless ambition that glinted in the low light. The advisor's polished exterior had concealed his deep-seated desire for power, a hunger that had led him down a dark path of deceit. As he laid out the details of his plan, his voice betrayed none of the internal conflict one might expect from a man poised to betray his sovereign. The plot Gavrick unveiled was audacious in its scope and chilling in its precision. The assassination of King Alastair was not a hasty decision, but a meticulously planned scheme designed to remove the king and seize the throne for himself. The night of the upcoming royal gala was chosen as the perfect stage for this sinister act, a night of revelry and distraction that would provide the ideal cover for their nefarious plans. The details were discussed with a cold efficiency, each element of the plot carefully orchestrated to ensure success. As Gavrick and the masked conspirator exchanged final instructions, the gravity of their scheme became ever clearer. The conspirators' nod of agreement was a chilling affirmation of their commitment to the plan, their eyes glinting with a cold resolve. The room's oppressive darkness seemed to mirror the bleakness of their intentions, a foreboding backdrop to the scheming that was unfolding. The gala, a celebration of grandeur and pomp, was now tainted with the shadow of imminent danger. The night of the royal gala was set to become a turning point in the kingdom's fate, a culmination of deceit and ambition masked by the glittering facade of festivity. As the conspirators prepared to set their plan into motion, the palace was alive with preparations for the grand event. Little did the revelers know that beneath the surface of their celebration, a deadly scheme was in the making, poised to alter the course of Eldoria's history in a single, decisive stroke. As night fell over Eldoria, the palace grounds were transformed into a glittering stage for the elaborate royal gala. The once somber corridors and majestic halls now pulsed with an air of festivity and grandeur. The palace's exterior, bathed in the soft, ambient glow of lanterns and torches, looked enchanting against the night sky. Ornate decorations draped from the ceiling like cascades of stars, and the sounds of music and laughter floated through the crisp night air, masking the darker currents that swirled beneath the surface. Inside the grand ballroom, guests dazzled in shimmering gowns and finely tailored suits, their attire a feast for the eyes amidst the opulent surroundings. The room was a riot of color and light, with crystal chandeliers casting a warm, golden glow over the polished marble floors. Laughter and lively chatter filled the air, a symphony of joy and celebration that seemed to encapsulate the very essence of high society. Yet, amid the splendor, the tension was palpable, a hidden undercurrent that threatened to disrupt the evening's revelry. In a secluded alcove away from the main festivities, Gavrik and his co-conspirators were hard at work, their faces illuminated by the flickering light of a single candle. The alcove was a stark contrast to the grandeur of the ballroom, its walls lined with rich, dark velvet, and its atmosphere thick with secrecy. Gavrik's voice was low and measured as he reviewed their meticulously arranged plans, his fingers tracing the details on a parchment that outlined their sinister plot. Each conspirator moved with precision, their every action a testament to the gravity of their scheme. The conspirators' preparations were meticulous, their focus unwavering as they ensured that every detail of their plan was executed flawlessly. The dark corners of the alcove were filled with the quiet rustling of documents and the soft clinking of concealed weapons, a stark reminder of the imminent threat. Gavrik's demeanor was a study in calculated coldness, his expression a mask of composure that betrayed none of the urgency or anxiety he felt. The room seemed to hold its breath, suspended in the tense silence of their final preparations. Meanwhile, in the heart of the gala, King Alistair moved through the crowd with an air of regal grace, his presence a beacon of authority amidst the throng of well-wishers. His regal bearing, marked by his finely crafted attire and composed demeanor, stood in stark contrast to the darker machinations unfolding just beyond the palace walls. As he mingled with his guests, exchanging pleasantries and smiles, he remained blissfully unaware of the peril that loomed so close. The king's interactions were marked by genuine warmth and charm, his laughter ringing out like a melody that blended seamlessly with the evening's music. Each conversation was a careful dance of diplomacy and grace, a reflection of his dedication to his role as sovereign. Yet, as he engaged with his guests, his mind was focused on the present joys of the gala, oblivious to the shadowy conspiracy that threatened to disrupt the night's harmony. As the evening wore on, the storm of political intrigue grew ever closer, a tempest poised to strike with devastating force. The festive atmosphere of the gala seemed almost surreal against the backdrop of impending danger, a delicate illusion that masked the reality of the threat facing Eldoria. The palace, with its grandeur and splendor, was now a battleground of secrets and ambition, where the fate of the kingdom hung precariously in the balance. The night promised a future that could shift dramatically with a single, decisive act. The contrast between the joyous celebration and the looming threat was stark, a testament to the fragility of peace amidst the turmoil of power. As the gala continued, each moment drew the kingdom closer to the brink of upheaval, with the intricate dance of deception and ambition unfolding against the backdrop of an unforgettable night.